Harlem kids lived in a world of their own making. Not on the busy avenues like Broadway or Amsterdam, but on the quieter side streets where there was more freedom. They played double dutch and jacks and stickball. They hit the local playground, the battlegrounds, for the monkey bars and swings, and for hoops on the cracked courts if they could hold their own. They played street games like the tag game Ringolevio or Hot Peas and Butter, where the leader hid a belt behind a stoop or a trash can and then yelled out to the others, "Hot peas and butter! Come and get your supper!" They were kids with parents who expected them back inside when the streetlights came on, and neighbors who looked down from open windows with chins in hands, ready to pull them out of trouble by their ears. Kids who knew when someone's older brother or cousin had started sniffing glue or trying heroin, and would learn to avoid them when they got to acting like strangers. Kids who'd lived through 6 days of rioting in their neighborhoods in 1964, as people took to the streets to protest the murder of a 15-year-old black boy who had been gunned down by a white police officer in front of his friends and a dozen witnesses. And kids who lived, too, through the awful spring of 1968, when Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered on the balcony of a second-floor Memphis motel room, just a few days before he was set to join a march on behalf of striking sanitation workers. When news of King's death rained down upon Harlem, Lydia Abarca was 17. She remembers her mother, Josephine, crying at their kitchen table. "What are we going to do now?" her mother said. "They killed this one hope." Folks in Harlem were used to being abandoned to deal with their grief and struggle. They certainly didn't look to government leaders to take seriously their housing crisis, or the breakdown of their public schools, or the trash that collected in heaps on their street corners. Now, a man who'd been fighting on their behalf was gone. So they'd go on getting by on grit and stubbornness, if not hope. But 2 months after Dr. King's murder, one of Abarca's 5 sisters came home from her violin classes with ground-shifting news. "Lydia, they've got a black man up there. He's going to be teaching ballet." Sandra, 7 years Lydia's junior, had seen a flyer at the Harlem School of the Arts, which was run out of the basement of the St. James Presbyterian Church on 141st Street in St. Nicholas. Somebody named Arthur Mitchell was starting a ballet program for kids in the neighborhood, and he wanted grown dancers too. Lydia Abarca had let ballet go when she was 15, tired of giving her whole self over to something that never seemed to love her back. When she heard about Arthur Mitchell's new school, she'd just graduated high school and was headed on a partial scholarship to Fordham University in the fall. She was going to be the first Abarca to go to college. Josephine liked to think her baby could be a doctor. And in the meantime, she needed to make a little money working a summer job as a secretary in the lobby at a bank down the street from their projects. Monday through Friday, she'd rotate through her same 3 outfits. 12 years in a Catholic school uniform doesn't build an impressive wardrobe. For a paycheck, doing work she hated and wasn't especially good at. The trash can by her desk at the bank was filled with balled-up evidence of her struggle, the whiteout on her typos like a crime scene covered in glue. When her sister told her about this black man looking for dancers, she couldn't get the thought out of her head. "I'd never had a black ballet teacher before," she says. "Maybe he would put a little soul in the steps to make them come alive."